Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the McBasketcast here on the T Grace 1911 channel. Um, Today's guest he is the owner of one of the most talked about leagues in NR right now. Um, if you know it, you can usually catch them on Tuesday nights on JTN every Tuesday. Ladies and gentlemen, none other than the man himself, Ben Snyder.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, well, Ben, thanks for coming on the show. I'm glad you hit me up when you did, because I was about to, you know, not have a guest for this week. So thanks for saving me from that. But why don't you go ahead and start off and tell the people about your presence in NR.
So, I've known about NR 2003 since I was still in elementary school. I'd go on sim racing design and look at all the paint scams. And then 2015, I got a copy of the game for myself. And 2018, I started racing online. And 2021, I started up what is now the HVRL Maverick Cup Series. We ran on Tuesday nights at the beginning of 2021, then temporarily moved to Monday nights. And then 2022, we moved back to Tuesdays, and we've been there ever since. And also 2021, we had one race on JTN. And 2022, we went to having all races on JTN, and we've maintained that relationship since. So this year, we've planned to have every race broadcasted by JTN if possible, but JTN has had a couple races that they couldn't broadcast this year. The race this Tuesday at Dover, and then the race on June 11th at Pocono will be on Tarnation TV, which is another NR 2003 broadcaster. They're going to be filling in for JTN whenever they can't broadcast from here on out.
Well, there you go, and that is why Tuesday nights are always called Maverick Night in America. Well, thank you for that introduction, Ben. We're just going to go ahead and jump right into our first segment, and really the only well defined segment that I actually have a name for on this show, which is called Just Last Week, where we talk about things that happened either in NASCAR or personally that happened to us within the past week. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about. So, earlier in the week, we got quite possibly some of the biggest news in several years. We got word that the four-car team Stewart Haas Racing was going to be shutting down at the end of 2024, which came as a shock to a lot of people, and I'm sure it came as a shock to you too, Ben.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think they should just do away with the charter system.
Thank you, absolutely, finally. But this is NASCAR, and we don't have time for rational solutions, so the charter system is going nowhere. And just this afternoon, we are recording this on Saturday night at 8:30, because that's just kind of when me and Ben could both fit it in. But so we had the Truck Series and Xfinity Series races today, both going simultaneously due to the weather delay up in Gateway. We had one boring winner in Corey Heim. God, if he could just move to the Xfinity Series, so you know he could stop taking all the wins in the Truck Series, that would be great. And then we also had a not boring winner in Mr. Aussie himself, Shane. No, wait, he's from New Zealand, isn't he? I forget.
Correct. Shane Vingesbergen is from New Zealand.
Okay, yes. So not Aussie, the Kiwi, Mr. Kiwi himself, Shane Van Gisbergen wins the Xfinity Series race in Portland. It was good to see that. Did you watch that? Did you see him drifting around the turns on his victory lap?
I saw some burnouts. I just watched the end of the race because I heard that SVG was leading and wanted to see him get his first Xfinity win because that's my guy in Xfinity.
Oh, absolutely. I think he's everybody's guy in Xfinity. Really, one of the fan favorites. But so we had that. And see here, I always talk about me racing in or recap my races in Maverick ever since I've started this. So Tuesday, I ran the Maverick race at Charlotte, and honestly, it was a very good time. I had lots of fun because I was up in the top three um, several times for, and just up in the top five, top 10 for a considerable portion of the night until things just fell apart. Tires got wore out trying to cut back up through the field. But came home
Just a
and
reminder.
yeah, go ahead.
Just a reminder. Several means seven. Several means seven. If you watch Survivor, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course. Good to see another Survivor fan on the show. I mean, I haven't watched the show in many years, but I remember back in the day when Survivor was on, you knew me and my mom were going to be watching it.
Absolutely. I tune in every Wednesday night when it's on. I put my buff on, and we are gathered around the TV. I'm actually part of the Live Reality Games podcast. They recap episodes of Survivor after the episode takes place. And I've actually competed on a live reality game. So, live reality games are fan experiences based on shows like Survivor, Big Brother, and The Challenge. And I did one called Doubt Live, which is kind of a mix of Survivor and Big Brother last year. I was one of the first ones out, but I had a great time.
Well, it's that's unfortunate there, Ben, being the first one out. You never want to be the first one to be voted out on Survivor. That's always the worst.
I wasn't the first one out, but I was one of the first ones out. I was voted out in the third round of the competition. There was one person voted out before me.
Well, that's not. That's still better than I would have done probably. Well, uh, let's see here. So we had Stewart Haas shutting down, Corey Heim and SVG winning today, and then you have the Cup Series tomorrow at Gateway with Michael McDowell gonna sit on the pole tomorrow. So looking forward to that. Gonna see what he can do. And the Penske
Who do you
cars
think
are.
replaces him? Who do you think replaces McDowell in the 34?
If I had to say, it would probably be one of the guys from Stewart Haas. It's up in the air of whether or not it may be Noah Gregson or Josh Berry, but one of those two. Because to me, Briscoe's probably going to go to the 21. He's been Ford's guy all throughout his career in NASCAR. He's never raced in any other manufacturer, so I don't feel like they're going to let him go. And then Ryan Preece, I see him just going back down to an Xfinity or truck ride, which a Ryan Preece truck championship would give me life. That would be amazing, amazing. And
They
then,
need more veterans in the truck series. They
eh,
need more people to go down from Cup to race in trucks. Kind of like the truck series 15 years ago. They had more veterans. These young prospects need to go straight from ARCA to Xfinity if they want a realistic shot of making it to Cup, in my opinion.
that is a um very astute. That's very astute of you, Ben, to say something like that because I kind of see where you're coming from. We had Ty Gibbs who just completely skipped the truck series, went straight to Xfinity and won in his debut, and then went and won the championship in 2022. So your your words definitely hold some weight there. But yes, about the veterans thing, yes, we need more. We need more Matt Craftons. We need more Ron Hornadays and Mike Skinners. That's who we need in the truck series. Not
Absolutely.
these drivers like uh gosh I
Corey Heim.
well no yeah, Corey Heim basically. Yeah, I guess that makes sense because of what he did in the championship race, which I mean, there's a
And
time and a place to
truck
intent
needs
wreck
more.
somebody.
Truck needs more standalone races.
That that's true. Which, speaking of standalone races, I am so excited for IRP coming up because it always puts on good races. Always.
What about Milwaukee Mile?
Oh, I forgot they were bringing. I forgot they were bringing that back to the schedule. I completely forgot. Thank you, Ben, for reminding me. But you know
But
what?
yeah, and some big news about HVRL, um, coming off of one of our biggest fields since April. We had 35 cars this past Tuesday at Charlotte. HVRL is planning to expand to a second series on Friday nights in 2025.
Yes, I've heard rumors about that. Any more details fleshed out that you're willing to share with us about that? You know, maybe mods or a schedule, something like that.
Well, actually, this series is going to run most of its races on Fridays with 4 races on Tuesdays and will use the BR15 mod just like the HVRL Maverick Cup Series. As for tracks, look for tracks like Kern County, Irwindale, Evergreen, Colorado National Speedway to be on the schedule, along with some of the bigger tracks in that part of the country: Las Vegas, Phoenix, Sonoma.
So we could be looking at sort of a K&N Pro Series type series that we're looking at with the smaller tracks.
Think of like Winston West back in the 90s. So your Friday races will be 2 races at Kern County. You'll have Irwindale, Orange Show, uh, Colorado will be on there. Evergreen will be on there. Meridian will be on there. Utah Motorsports Campus. And then the Tuesday races will be Las Vegas, Sonoma, Phoenix, and the shocker on the schedule, Indianapolis.
Wow, Indianapolis on the schedule. That
And that
is
race will be on a Tuesday.
that is awesome to hear. Ben, thanks for sharing that information with us. So, for those of you in Maverick or looking to join Maverick, you got the new series coming in 2025.
Well, this series is meant for newer drivers. I have friends in Utah I want to get into NR, and this series is meant for people on the West Coast. We have Jeff Davis interested in racing with us in that series. He used to race Winston West. Maybe we'll get some other Winston West drivers in the field.
Yes, hopefully I was never around to be able to see any Winston West series. I By the time I'd gotten into NASCAR, it had become I guess Winston West became the K&N Pro Series West, something like that. Not really sure how
It
those
was
series
Camping
stand.
World West in the late 2000s.
Okay, thank you. I would have never known that, Ben. Thank you. You are like a NASCAR encyclopedia, man.
Yep. And for those of you newer fans, Winston Cup and Winston West did combo races until 1997 at West Coast tracks, as well as the inaugural Brickyard 400.
Well, there you have it. Some interesting information. For those of you NASCAR trivia nerds out there, there's some information to keep in your brain. And so I
Yep.
guess we're just gonna segue out of this segment. I want to talk more about you and just I sort of want to give the fans sort of a little comprehensive history of the HVRL Maverick Cup Series.
So the HVRL Maverick Cup Series started in 2021 with the help of Joe Bishop and Maniac Racing League, and we were using his server and TeamSpeak, and we were typically getting on Tuesday nights about 20 to 30 cars. We couldn't hold more than 30 in the TeamSpeak, and the race server could hold the typical full field. So we couldn't have a full field because we couldn't hold everybody in the TeamSpeak. 2022, we got our own TeamSpeak server. We began um, having every race uh, full-time broadcasted on JTN, and we We're able to hold more people in the team speak, which proved to be a good decision because we had some races get over 30 cars. And then 2023, um, some people attempted a hostile takeover, so we basically had to start from scratch. That's when we adopted the name HVRL Maverick Cup Series. We were previously the BSR Maverick Cup Series, but we changed our name to avoid confusion with the already established Bomb Squad Racing League, which is also on JTN on Thursday nights. And so 2023, we focused on rebuilding the series in time for 2024 to have our best season yet. And now we're going forward into 2025. Every race will be broadcasted by JTN or Nation TV, and we will have 4 combination races with the Maverick West Series at Las Vegas, Sonoma, Indy, and Phoenix.
Well, there you have it. Just a brief rundown for you about the history of the Maverick Cup Series for you, and
A lot of the early series regulars came from Maniac Racing, like inaugural champion Mike Pianciocco, Antonio Irvin, Joe Bishop, who I mentioned earlier, Greg Jakovitz, Billy Squire. And then 2022, we got more drivers from NNSCRA. Also, had a few Mondays of Thunder drivers come in. And in 2023, a lot of the drivers were from Mondays of Thunder. You had a few others. And now you got all the NSCRA guys back after they split off in 2023. They came back because FTR, which attempted a hostile takeover of HVRL, folded, and they took a lot of the NSCRA drivers, and now that series is back. Those drivers are back in Maverick Cup.
well, lots of twists and turns there. Hostile takeovers, very very entertaining history of this league. And yes, I do happen to be one of those Mondays of Thunder drivers that joined the league and run it now regularly. Now, probably going to run it throughout the summer until I go back to school in the fall, where um, I'm going to go back to washing dishes at Chili's. And when I was there, they always had me on Tuesday nights. It was always Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. So only had Monday and Wednesday off. So
Yeah.
not much time to run an hour. But I would always try and catch a brief view of the race whenever I was working and we were slow. But yes,
Yep. And
hopefully can get a win before the summer ends. So I'm looking forward to what that has to offer.
Maverick is known now for getting large fields.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, a 35 car field on Tuesday. That was one of
Charlotte.
the one of the biggest fields I've ever been in NR 2003. Which luckily I was up at the front of it for most of the time.
And we had some races earlier this year that actually had DNQs.
Uh, yes, yeah, I mean,
Our season opener had 77 entries. We didn't have duels or anything, just 2 laps of qualifying to determine the 40 drivers. Well, 25 or 21 actually locked in on owner points from last year, and then 19 out of the remaining 56 we get in on speed.
well, yeah, when you have money and hats lined up as prizes, you're gonna get a pretty high car count, especially on a restrictor plate race where everybody feels they have a shot to win. So Ben, I want to go
Nowadays,
into
it's typically restrictor plates and memorial races that get the largest fields because we did the Autry Waits Memorial. His first cousin once removed, Todd Wilson, who's a former champion, paid for the race to be broadcasted. And we had some guys come over from Autry's home league, ASR, and we actually retired his car number 416. Not like anybody else is going to use that number. So why not retire it in honor of Autry? It's his number for the ages.
yes, absolutely. I believe I was at the Autry Waits Memorial race. It was at Texas, correct?
You were at the one last year, the 2023 running.
Yes, that one.
Then there's the one this year, which had 43 car show up. So we had 3 DNQs.
Man, I,
The first 5 races of the year, Daytona, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Richmond, and Texas, all had drivers fail to qualify.
well, that's just right there, folks.
And
That's just
Mexico had the largest road course field ever at 29. We would have loved to see 40. The last league to get a full field on a road course was FTF in 2019 at Watkins Glen. Both Sonoma and Watkins Glen had 40 cars that year.
it is definitely difficult to get 40 cars on a road course. I mean, especially me. You're gonna have a hard time getting me on a road course because I am not that guy. I'm gonna be hopping over the curbs and I'm gonna be going through the grass. It's not a good time for me on a road course. But Ben, I want to ask you. I'm gonna start off with this. What is, in your opinion, the best Maverick Cup Series race?
Probably our season opener this year due to the high car count, the money, and the trophy on the line. And it had a really crazy finish.
Yes, I remember watching that finish later on JTN. I believe they posted the highlight of it, and I could not believe the craziness of that finish. I mean, you had people that were somebody that was happy to win in Matt Moss, and then you had um, a bit of heartbreak for um, the one getting blocked by the lap car. When
It was
that
that coming to the white flag.
I thought it was coming to the checkered.
No, the 27, which is my dad, who's raced in real life in the Richard Petty driving experience 10 years ago at Daytona. He blocked the 888 of Grant Wesley, who's an RTG regular, as they were coming to the white flag, and that basically blew any shot of Wesley getting the $100 in the trophy.
Yep, yep. I mean, my heart goes out to Wesley on that one. You always sucks losing money. I mean, a lot of people ask me, what I do for a living, and I'll tell you this: I make money, son. Ain't a whole lot I don't know how to do, but it won't take me long to figure out how to do it, and that's how it is. But Ben, I want to. So we've talked about the best, um, and obviously you can't have the best without the worst. So, what is, in your opinion, probably the worst Maverick race out there?
I don't want to say that. I don't think we've really had a worse. We've had ones that haven't been as great.
Yeah, I guess you are kind of right. That was kind of a dumb question, but
And this is coming from the person who holds the record for last place finishes in the Maverick Cup Series.
though, uh, so you're the JD McDuffie of Maverick, is what you're saying.
I used to start in park. Not anymore.
Yes, you've been making progress. I've been watching you. You've been able to start putting more and more races together. It's impressive how much you're growing there.
Yep, and I've been doing a lot of practice during the off season. I practiced at one track specifically to prepare for a race later this season because that's a track I really want to win at.
Uh, Absolutely. I've heard about your also your race winning fuel strategy that you got planned coming up.
I almost won in another league at that track in 2022. Server crashed and I was leading, but they were able to refire it.
Man.
There's people saying I should have won that race.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when the server crashes on you, it kind of takes you out of the zone, really. speaking from experience and having plenty of servers crash on me. It's not a good feeling when you see all the cars disappear.
Yep. But I did finish that race on the lead lap, which is a big deal for me because it rarely happens.
Well, there you go. Oh man. Well, let's see here. Uh, so we see week in and week out several key drivers that are up there at the front in Maverick, and I want to talk about one specifically, Mr. Keith Hughes. I've seen him helping out on the server and picking out tracks and helping to put these races together. How did that end up happening where you and Keith got linked up?
So Keith was in our very first race back in 2021, and in 2022 I began racing Mondays of Thunder, and then he basically became my right-hand man in 2023 for track setups, and he had additional help from Tate Dorsey, and Tate got promoted to admin mid-season this year when RJ Bishop resigned, and Keith has obviously been a big help to the series, and having Keith on the admin team along with Tate, Greg Shatner, uh, Dylan Livingood, and Zach Armstrong as our admins. It's a great team of admins, and we've got a lot planned for 2025.
I can agree with you on that one. You have a good group of people backing you over there in that league. A lot of whom are my friends. I mean, you're talking about Keith Hughes and Tate Dorsey and Greg Shetner. I've been racing with those guys since I first started in NR 2003 back in early 2021. So
Yeah,
they
and that's around the time that I started Maverick.
absolutely, but I believe the earliest memory I have of Maverick was I believe it was the 2022 Daytona race. Um,
Was it when
watch,
you had 7 pink unicorn cars?
yes, that one. That one.
Oh my god. And that race is actually historic because it was the first Maverick Cup Series race for ARCA and Truck Series driver Mike Seneca.
Yes, shout out to Mike Seneca. Absolutely, very historic race by a very talented driver in Mike Seneca, both online and in real life. So, Mike Seneca, if you're watching this, hats off to you.
Yep, and Mike is actually one of my teammates. He drives the number 57 Kia for Benjamin Snyder Racing.
Oh, you guys drive Kias? And can I
Yes, me and my dad and Mike Seneca drive Kias in the Maverick Cup Series.
Oh, sweet. Can I come join Benjamin Snyder Racing? That sounds like fun.
Yeah, well, we're not going to let you run a DeLorean because it's not a real manufacturer, but Kia is perfectly acceptable.
Absolutely.
I'll have to send you the Kia template.
Ab- hey, don't diss the DeLorean now. I want an MOT All-Star race in the DeLorean. It's always the cars that are put together
Yeah,
in like 5 minutes that always win.
yep, I'd love to see that silver DeLorean paint scheme on a manufacturer and see that come to Maverick. Maybe you'll get you your first win in the series.
Hey, I can use the metallic gradient on GIMP. I know my way around that paint program. So don't
Yep,
tempt me.
that's what I use for my paint schemes. I use GIMP, and my current car number is 22, and I'll have a new number next year.
23.
Nope, 7, in honor of Alan Kowicki.
Ah, yes. Alan Colwicky.
Kowicki's
Gosh, what?
he's basically my spirit animal.
Yeah, I always liked his Hooters paint schemes. That was really cool. Just one of those drivers we lost too soon. Him and Davey Allison. Um,
And Kenny Irwin Jr. and Adam Petty.
yes, the two that came before Dale died at Daytona. Um, the The reason that
Yep.
they ran the restrictor plate race at New Hampshire in 2000, where Jeff Burton won the race after leading every single lap.
Yep. And that's something that Ty Gibbs has done a bunch of times in ARCA.
Absolutely. And let's see here. Last season, Cole Custer did it at Chicago, at the Chicago Street
In the
Course.
rain-shortened Chicago street course race.
Then before that, I believe, I want to say it was Joey Logano in 2015 at Bristol that last led all the laps in a race. But I could be
Kyle
wrong.
Busch did a couple times. I believe he did it Phoenix once and Richmond once. He led every single lap.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I end up there one day leading flag to flag in a Maverick race.
Well, it has happened before. Indianapolis 2022. Todd Wilson led every single lap. And he wasn't even the favorite to win the race. That was Brad Burke, who's now with the Maniac Racing crew.
Well, there you go. It's been done. History has been made in Maverick when going flag to flag. I Out of anybody I expected to do it, I was expecting Keith Hughes to be the one. He's just being one of the most dominant drivers in Maverick, winning what, two? This is his second championship that he won last season.
No, 2023 was his first championship.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I
Mike
thought he won it in
Panciocco,
22.
Todd Wilson was the 2022 champion.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad you corrected me on that. My Maverick history is not not up to snuff. But
But Keith did win the Daytona season opener in 2022 and then won, I believe, 8 races in 2023. He won Las Vegas, he won Richmond, he won Milwaukee, Indianapolis, and then he won Bristol, Watkins Glen, New Hampshire, and Phoenix. I believe 8 wins. So he's the all-time wins leader, followed by Nick Gunther, then Todd Wilson, and then fourth on the all-time wins list is arguably the best road racer in HVRL history, Huang Do.
yes, Huang Do. I know him from his YouTube videos. Those are always funny. Shout out Huang Do. Very funny man.
And there's one driver I'd love to see come back in the future to bring justice to a race that he should have won back in 2022.
Who
Steven Merzlak wrongly had his win taken away by a biased admin team that later attempted to do a hostile takeover of my league. And if they had not been admins, Steve would have been the winner of that race. Hashtag believe in Steve.
Absolutely. Free Merzlak. I remember the free Merzlak hashtag going on. Yes, that was stupid. He won it fair and square. Because it, there was it was a 1 in a million shot for that move to work. For him to be able to go perfectly between the two lead cars, bounce off the wall, and still beat them to the line. You could do it 100 times and still not be able to replicate it as perfectly as he did. In my opinion, Steven Merzlak won that race.
Absolutely. I wonder if he knows how to do a backflip. Because he grew up a Carl Edwards fan.
I don't know. Try and backflip out of an office chair. That'd be a bit difficult.
I have something planned for my first win. I'm going to turn the car around and replicate one of the greatest victory celebrations of all time.
The Polish victory lap.
Yep. And it would be even cooler to do it in the number 7 car.
Absolutely. So we talked about you running the 7, a new number for next season. Are you going to be running that on the quarter panel like some of your other cars have done?
No, I'm running center of the door. Quarter panel is just an experiment I tried for this year with my primary paint scheme, but I'm going to be going traditional next year.
Yes, and anytime you see a quarter panel number in an NR race, it's always pretty radical. And if you do the scheme right, it can usually look pretty good. Just
And I've
like,
seen it done right. I mean, I've seen it done the West Series before. The car I rode in 2014, the Richard Petty driving experience at Daytona, had the QP numbers.
hmm, I, I had no idea. But that car with the quarter panel, with the quarter panel number and the wave going over the side of it, that was a pretty slick looking car.
Yep, I'll still have the wave design. It'll just be number on the door, like for some of my associate sponsors coming on board. So, like the landlord leasing car I ran at Las Vegas, or the live reality games car I'm going to be running at the Midwestern tracks primarily.
Well, well, Ben, we're coming up on the 40-minute mark. We're getting close to it. Probably time to start winding down the episode. Anybody that you want to shout out personally on this show?
I'd like to shout out all my friends in the live reality games group. I'd like to shout out all my friends from Park City Mountain and the National Ability Center. I'd like to shout out my sponsors, Maverick, Live Reality Games, Budget Customs. I'd like to shout out everybody who's raced in HVRL. We've actually had ARCA drivers, Mike Seneca, Matt Kemp, Willie Mullins all show up and race with us. Willie Mullins actually failed to qualify at Daytona.
Wow, a real life driver failing to qualify in an NR 2003 race. That's a bit ironic.
Well, you gotta consider that there was almost enough cars to fill the full field twice.
That is true. When you're dealing with 75 cars, that's bound to happen.
Absolutely. Seneca was locked in because he was driving a car that was locked in on owner points from last year. But we are going to have a new knockout queue format, so that everybody has to take a time in knockout queue. At most races, it'll be 34 cars getting in on speed, and then 6 provisionals, including, if needed, the series director, past champion, sponsor, and then for the West Coast tracks, there will also be 1 provisional for the West Series. Daytona will have a special qualifying format. We're doing a hooligan race like some of the Busch Series races did in the 1990s. So it'll be 28 cars on speed, 4 provisionals, including the series director and past champion if needed. And then the final 8 spots will be determined by a hooligan race.
Well, there you go. New qualifying formats coming to Maverick. Got a new series coming to Maverick in 2025. Um, when this video is uploaded, I will have the link to the HVRL Maverick Cup Series Discord in the description. If you want to come race and be in big car fields like this and be on JTN and get your name out there, Maverick Cup Series is the place to do it. Ben, thank you so much for coming on this show. Um,
And race with ARCA drivers.
Yeah, what other league do you know has ARCA drivers in it? So come join.
No others that I know of on NR.
Well, there you go. You're the expert, Ben. So I'll take your word for it. But yep, Maverick Cup Series. And yeah, Ben, thanks for
Be
coming
a part
on.
of Maverick Night in America. We have a Facebook group too.
Yes, also on Facebook. I don't have a Facebook account, so I don't know if I'll be able to post the link to that, but I'll definitely
I
post the
think you
Discord link.
can. I think you can post it if you don't have a Facebook. I've given out business cards in Utah, which is obviously going to be a big target group for the new West Series next year.
Uh, yes, the Utah. Funny enough, that so targeting the Utah area where the Utah getting a new NHL team after the death of the Arizona Coyotes. That's
Yep.
unfortunate.
Mammoth is a potential name. Yeti, I think, has been thrown around as a possible team name. They're just going to be called the Utah NHL team this year, but they'll have an official name hopefully in 2025.
Yes, and while we're on the topic of new hockey teams, Athens, Georgia, Georgia is getting a wait, no, it's not an ECHL team. It's a SPHL. They're getting a new hockey team. Georgia is getting another new hockey team. It's not in the NHL. It's in one of the lower leagues, but the Athens Rock Lobsters. I cannot wait for them to take to the ice in the Classic City. As someone who grew up not very far from Athens, maybe me and my dad will have to catch a game sometime over there, even though he hates hockey. But he wants to diss hockey. He wants to diss hockey, but he's also the same guy that watches golf. Golf, which is the boringest sport in the world, where it goes, oh, that's a good birdie, nice birdie, nice birdie. He's on the green. There you go. And it's just a bunch of rich people walking around in polos, swinging clubs. I don't, I don't get it. And he wants to diss hockey.
Well, and I look forward to two golf tournaments every year: the Phoenix Open and the Masters. The former because of the 16th hole. The fans are just rowdy, and they throw drinks everywhere when somebody gets a hole in one.
Yes, as somebody who lives in Georgia, the Masters are definitely a big deal around here.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm born and raised in Florida, but I'm in the northern part of the state.
Oh, really? I'm in the southern part of Georgia. Want to meet at the state line?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm gonna be down in Orlando doing some real life racing in a few weeks, hopefully, in the Orlando Kart Center League of Legends. Possibly scouting for some talent for future HVRL Maverick Cup races.
Yep. Well, I think that'll about do it for this week's episode of the McBasketcast. Once again, Ben, thank you so much for watching. And we will see you all next week.